Today, we're going to talk to a local Columbus artist and learn about some science principles hidden within his artwork. We like to say that science is everywhere. Art is everywhere too, if you know where to look.
Hey, what's up? I'm Adam Hernandez.
How you doing, Frederick, man? Pleasure to meet you in person.
Pleasure to meet you too, man. Thanks for coming by.
So, tell us a little bit about yourself.
So I'm a local artist. I primarily paint murals, but that's just kind of like one of the things I do. I always call it my bread and butter. That's kind of how I pay the bills. But I also do graphic design. I do paintings. Anything I can get my hands on to make art with, I'm gonna probably make art with it.
Okay, but you're downplaying your skill set a little bit. I mean, you got stuff all around Columbus. Like, where can we see your stuff?
I actually have something that's kind of a neighbor to Coastside. I've got a mural there. It's in my Godmask series. Got some pieces in Scott's Miracle-Gro Stadium, home of the Columbus Crew. If you go on my website, ahernandezart.com, I have a mural map. You can see my stuff all over the city.
But you did mention what you saw at Coastside, or what you did at Coastside, these Godmask. I'm super excited about that. Can I see some more of that stuff?
Yeah, want to head up to our studio?
Right up here?
Yeah, let's do it.
Let's do it.
All
Let's
right.
go. Thank you so much for letting me into this space. First of all, there's such a cool vibe here, so thank you for that. Talk to me a little bit about this space.
Yeah, so this is my studio. It's where the magic happens. I'm very lucky to have this space. It's kind of cool. I can get messy and not have to worry about. I used to paint in my house, like in the kitchen before. So now having this space where I can get paint on the floor is kind of nice, you know.
You promised me you're going to walk me through the Godmask. Yes. Talk to me about that.
They're inspired by my Puerto Rican heritage, a traditional mask making technique called Vejigante. But also not just by my Puerto Rican heritage. A lot of cultures throughout the world and throughout history have made masks. So I always thought that was kind of a cool thing. It's kind of me just kind of living in that tradition.
Well, I love that about so many historical things, that they mix through all kinds of cultures. But science does that too, right? Science is like, doesn't matter the religion, the culture, there's science everywhere. Is there science in your art?
Yes, I think in different ways I'm able to incorporate some science into my work, particularly the piece that I painted close to Coastside. The background of that piece, there's kind of references to some geological features of Ohio. So that piece is on the confluence of two rivers, the Olentangy and Scioto. So the two background patterns represent those two rivers kind of dancing with each other. And the striated kind of pattern that they create is a reference to the shale embankments that run along both rivers.
That's really cool. You've also pushed the kind of technology bit in some of your artwork with like augmented reality. Talk to us about that.
Yeah, so that was a kind of a fun thing. I was turned on by another local artist a few years ago where he was trying to introducing some of us to this idea of kind of augmented reality. And at first, I couldn't even wrap my head around it. But then once I realized the potential of it, I was like, whoa, like this just opens up like Pandora's box of what we can do with our art. So I think it's kind of cool to have like just a piece in the street that everybody walks by, but there's like another layer to it. And that's kind of where the augmented reality comes into play.
How do you put AR on a street piece of art?
I kind of think of the artwork kind of acts like a QR code. So I'm designing it in a way that when it's scanned in an app, it triggers an animation to happen. So the pieces that I actually created around town are actually part of a kind of a mural scavenger hunt that people can follow. So you scan the mural and it comes to life and it gives them clues.
So you have an elaborate process. We're talking about not just art on a canvas, but we're actually doing this on a massive mural. Walk us through that process.
First thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go to a wall. I'm gonna measure it. That's very important. Obviously, gotta know how much space I can get and what I can fit around in there. And then when I bring it over to digital, I make like my canvas kind of the shape to scale of the wall. So this one is actually the third stop on that tour we were talking about, the Godmask Mystery Mural Tour. This is obviously the final piece that exists now in the Old North Arcade. But that wasn't the first thing I drew. It goes through a lot of different drafts.
So about how many different drafts did you do before it gets finalized on the wall?
This is where the first place I started. This was very rough, and I usually start very rough just to kind of give the client kind of an idea of what I'm looking for. Probably two or three rounds of revisions. And sometimes it's just like they're not feeling the color palette, or for maybe the composition want me to tweak around something. And usually I try to keep a client happy. So I'm like, you know what, this is what you guys want, I'll do it. But then there's some times where I'm like, look, I'm the artist here. Like, I think this is not gonna look as good. So I try to, meet them in the middle and kind of make us both happy, After we get the design, we get that approved. First thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna clean the wall. I'm gonna prime it. I want that paint to stick on there really well and to last a long time. If somebody's starting out painting murals, I would always encourage them that you don't just put paint directly on the wall, you gotta prepare your surface first. So depending if you're painting on wood or concrete, metal, all those different things are gonna react to the paint differently. So it's very important for me to make sure the wall is nice and clean. You don't want dust on there, because that's something that eventually could fall off and it's gonna take your paint off with you and cause bigger issues down the road. A lot of the murals I'm painting are on buildings, so that's gonna be, brick or concrete. So there's special types of primer that are specifically for that. They adhere to it, and they also act as a water barrier, so you're not gonna have water seeping through and causing damage to your paint as well.
Got it. Very cool, man. It's all about science. I love it.
And then I'm gonna either sketch it out on the wall by using a projector at night, or if I'm not able to use a projector, I'll do something called pouncing, which is where you can get your drawing on a piece of paper. You have these tiny little holes in the paper, and you can use like a sock filled with chalk and tap it on top of those holes so it leaves kind of the residue, and then you can kind of use that to get your drawing on there. There's lots of different techniques. So once that's on there, then
Mural by numbers? Paint by numbers?
Yeah, that's usually after you get the drawing done. Basically, yeah, that's and that's kind of what I do. Is like once I get my drawing on there, then it is basically painting by numbers. I'm just filling in all the different spaces. And I usually start with the background and kind of work my way up. And then once everything's locked in, then I'll go in with either a detail brush or a spray can, and I'll outline everything and kind of tighten it up. And once that's done, then I go put a clear coat on it. So again, to protect it and make sure that it lasts and looks good for a long time.
Well, look, you got me fired up. This is super exciting, super technical, very scientific. Is there any way I could try some of this?
Well, we got paint here, and I actually have a wall outside. You want to go?
Oh, let's go. I'm
Let's
ready.
do it.
Adam, you weren't kidding. We actually have a wall behind us. What's up with this wall?
This is my practice wall. Serves two purposes. One, I get some practice, get my skills up. Also, when I have leftover paint from a mural, I drip it here and add to the background. So waste not, want not, right?
Waste not, want not. I love that. You're gonna show us how to do a mini mural here. You have a bunch of different caps. Why so many caps, Adam?
Yeah, so because each cap serves a different purpose. You've got your, your fat caps, which are gonna kind of fill in a lot of area at once. So it's a quick way to get some fills and get like nice big fields of color. Then you also have your detail caps, which are gonna be let out a little bit less paint, a little more concentrated area. So it's gonna be able to give you details and outlines. You got something like a New York fat or a Lego cap here, which are gonna be versatile. They're gonna give you, you can do some fills, you can also get some detail with them, or you can get real funky and fancy, and you can get something like this calligraphy cap, which has an adjustable tip, so you can actually write calligraphy and get all the cool serifs and flares and stuff with.
Let's go, let's test this out. Show me what you got. Hopefully I represent.
I believe in you.
Okay, all right.
There's actually a little ball bearing inside the can that when we shake, it's kind of mixing all the solvents in so that you can use it on the wall.
We got a nice even solution of spray paint.
Exactly, yeah. Yep.
Very cool.
This is gonna be the pupil, so you can do the outside.
That's okay. Yep. This is way harder than I thought.
I mean, I think you're doing a pretty good job. It's nice even coating, no long drip. When you got a lot of drips, that's when you're kind of messing up. So I think you're keeping it, you got some good can control. When I was coming up as a kid, I wasn't always the most confident person. So I started painting these masks as like a way, like, so I could almost like channel the power of these powerful beasts kind of thing. And so when people ask me about it, I can kind of talk about that and encourage them to, put themselves out there and push themselves and live to their full potential.
Listen, thanks so much for teaching me and letting me explore and do a little tagging. Where can we find more of your art in the city of Columbus, especially your Godmask work?
People can go to my website, ahernandezart.com, and check out the Godmask mystery mural game.
Adam, thanks so much for proving that science is everywhere, and
so is art.
Thanks for joining us on another edition of Science Tour 614.